Hello, hello.
Good evening, everyone.
How we doing today? Is everybody blessed? Feeling well?
Yes.
Dope. How are y'all feeling on the fast? Those of you that are on it. We're gonna give it another 2 to 3 minutes for everything to or everyone to roll in before we get started.
Okay.
Hey, Simone. Did you have a question or anything, or were you just saying hey?
Just saying hi.
Awesome, awesome. Let's see, let me pull up my screen so I can already be prepared. Hmm. Does anybody on here know anything about genes, especially when it comes to, just different diseases, disorders, and things like that, and genes? Does anybody feel as if, um, certain diseases and things of that nature are passed down through genes?
Um, I I've heard that yeah, we can through heredity we can actually pass down certain things. Like my dad had sickle cell, but I don't have it. But um, I've also heard that we control a large part of that through how we eat. So that's kind of pretty much all. I don't know much about it.
That's awesome, but you really did hit like you were right dead on the spot. There are some things that can be passed down through our genes, but I think I wanted to introduce something to you guys that I feel like we don't consider whenever we talk about genetic disorders and things of that nature and what these genes actually are. One of the most interesting things that I found while researching, because I'm always a why person or how person, and so telling me something happened doesn't really satisfy like how what's involved, what synthesis takes place in order to create the things that we get. And so I'm reading through some of these disorders and diseases for the first time, and I'm realizing that I'm coming to a roadblock. Like, you have a lot of healers out here that are trying to just throw you a herb in order to tell you, okay, yeah, I'm healing something, but there's nothing to validate why that herb may be beneficial for that actual disorder. And so I was just kind of getting to like a roadblock in some of them. Like when you think about sickle cell or any kind of autoimmune disorder, and you get down to the nitty gritty of what the problem is, and it being that the system is wired in order to attack itself in a sense. How do you address that? You know, how do you tackle that? And so I got into genes. the study of different genes and how these genes actually affect our being, how these genes can actually be mutated, and it's the mutation of these genes that actually cause so many different diseases and disorders. And you guys have already been introduced to some things that could actually help with the repairing of that. But I think it makes holistic healing believable in a sense, because there's a lot of folk in it. You know, there's a lot of hype into it. But whenever you're able to actually go through and say, yeah, no, this gene utilizes or creates this protein does this, and if you actually eat things or consume things that when they digest, they create chemicals that actually circulate throughout the body and help bind to these proteins and get them to, suppress their expression. Now we're actually changing how our body is actually coding itself in a sense with food, and not just food but other environmental factors, not smoking, making sure that we're obeying our body, especially in regards to the circadian rhythm. And again, it ought to me a lot of it goes down to the microbiota within the gut, because it's a lot of the bacteria within the gut actually controlling these things. But that's what we're going to dive into today.
Okay. Cool.
And I'm excited about it. All right. So, foods and diseases. A lot of this feels like reiteration, but I feel like it's tackling the same thing from another angle, helping you get the whole thing, hopefully. Whenever we are eating certain foods that actually alter the bacteria or the environment within our gut, we are altering the chemistry within our body in a major way. And I don't think we understand how easily we do this. So hopefully this whole slideshow, and this one is short. I promise you, this is not gonna be 2 hours. I swear, it's not gonna be 2 hours. That'll stop me in an hour. It's not gonna be 2 hours. But it's short, but hopefully it helps you guys understand that. I want to introduce a term to you guys, a term to you guys called epigenetics. Has anybody ever heard of it?
I've heard of it.
Yes.
Not, I can't remember what it is though.
Bet. So, epigenetics is the study of how different biological and environmental signals affect gene expression. A person's diet is an important source of epigenetic signals, and scientists are now investigating how eating habits modify genetic expression. Rather than changing DNA itself, epigenetic signals can, for example, prompt changes in the number of methyl chemical groups attached to a gene, turning it on or off. Understanding this relationship could help prevent or treat diseases such as obesity, diabetes, coronary artery disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, and so much more. Along with diet, exercise, environment, and mood may affect genetic expression, gene expression. Even emotional traumas can be transmitted to through subsequent generations through just epigenetic inheritance. Could anybody summarize that? Nope.
Um, Summarize it. What you are, what you eat.
That's a great way of putting it. I think like when I came across epigenetics, I was taken aback because they always taught you that your genes are set. That's how it felt in school for me. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in high school, they really illustrated genes being something fixed, and you just it kind of you are what you get kind of thing. And now we're introducing ourselves into a whole nother study of how different processes within the body can actually affect our genetic expression. How much of our genetic expression is even in our control? I see. Is your hand up, Simone?
Yes, it's windy over here, so I'm trying to stay muted. So I was just gonna say what we know about DNA and genetics is that some things are expressed physically and other things are internally. So what epigenetics is talking about is that the physical expression of our DNA can be altered based on our environmental, for lack of a better word, stressors or environmental systems. So what you come across can now present differently. So we all have different types of coding. So like genetically, let's say if diabetes runs in your family, there is a probability of you getting it. However, if you grow up in a place where you eat mostly healthy food, you exercise, you do all of the positive per se things, there's less of a likelihood of diabetes being coming out for you. But let's say if you have a sister or a brother and they kind of do the opposite of what you do, and then they do get it because you both share the same gene. However, what's expressed can be different based on the environment you're in.
Exactly.
Does that
But do
make
you
sense?
know why?
So it goes back to the original theory of when they used to say that people, it was either, darn it, I'm not going to be able to think of the word, nature versus nurture. So the argument of nature versus nurture when it comes to what makes people who they are. So they believe that
through
originally, like
through
if
diet, through like what you're saying, because what you're saying is spot on, but they're again asking that how and that why. So a lot of what she's saying is true in regards to just what those genes are. We typically 99% of us all have the same genes, the exact same genes. There's a 1% difference within our genes and how they're just the different kind of genes that we have. When people say that you are likely to get a genetic disorder, it does not necessarily mean that you even have that gene. It could honestly mean that you have the same lifestyle, the same habits that actually creates this genetic expression, or the way that your genes are expressing themselves throughout a disease or disorder, if that makes any sense. But a lot of it is true, but how and why? Simone?
sorry, I muted myself because of the wind.
Oh no, you good, you good.
You said that the how and the why of it. Well, what they found is that it's not one thing or the other. It's a combination of both. It's both the genetic expression of what you get passed down from your family. So there is some connections in that, and it also is the environment in which you live in.
What
So
let
depending,
me get to these other sides so I can show you guys the how and why, because there's a couple complete, like, just different things that we're talking about at once here. And so when we're talking about the actual cells within our body, and that's what I'm speaking on a cellular level, on the cells within our body, because we hit microbiology, just understanding the dynamic of the very basic essence of us. There are things that are happening that are causing these things to take place. So what could that be? We understand that if you eat a certain diet, you may develop a certain, gene that expresses itself that leads into a disorder or a disease. But what is actually taking place in order for that to happen is what my question is. Because we have to understand ourselves on a cellular level to heal ourselves on a cellular level. And although there may be a combination of factors that cause nearly every disease, when you start tackling the core of what's going on within people medically, we're talking about, okay, you can change your environment all you want, but if your genes are not, if the environmental or the chemical environment within your body is not beneficial for certain states of homeostasis to even exist, you won't experience it. So learning how to take care of the body on the inside, on the most inner level, on a cellular level, is super important. And I think we've tackled all of them throughout the series of these Zooms. We had exercise, we had mental health, because your mind does have the ability to actually, like I said, to change your mood, could alter your genes. Did y'all catch that?
Wow.
The way you think and cause yourself to feel can alter your genetic expression. Stress can alter your genetic expression. That's powerful.
Yeah.
When we think about how much control we have over, that's powerful. What you eat has the ability, and I've already talked to you guys about that. When certain foods just have different enzymes and agents within them that bind to the body, or receptors, proteins, aspects of the mRNA within your body, in a way that is not desired or not beneficial, we have a mutated cell. We have a mutated line of an enzyme that we need to function properly. And when that happens, when these mutations take place, now we have disease. Now we have cancer. Now there's just so much that go on. And then when we think about the pathology of these different diseases, such as hyperthyroidism or any thyroid disease and diabetes and things of that nature, we begin to understand how important it is for our body to have harmony. A lot of disease is like miscommunications taking place all throughout the body. There is no harmony within the body. It's almost like if I gave a message to Ann, or if I wrote a message to Ann, but Simone sent it to you, Pamela. Like, how benefit, this is what happens. The body is not regulated properly. And so hormones are secreted more than they should, or not enough. And that within itself, if happening for too long, has the ability to actually rewire not necessarily the encoding of our DNA, but how our genes are expressed, how these things are translated. Let me keep going. Did you have anything else you wanted to add to that, Simone?
No.
When you speak about the environment, that I'm sure that also includes, like you said, not just what you eat, but like, I'm terrified of like lotions. I don't buy anything from the store. I can't. I mean, because I look at that ingredient list and I can't pronounce most of the stuff on the list, but cosmetics, sunscreens, and then I'm afraid of my sister likes to make, we like the house to smell good, but it's like fragrance disrupts hormones. So I'm like, okay, now what do I do? I have to use essential oils or some. It's kind of everything. It's what you put on your skin and what you eat and what you're breathing, and so
Exactly.
it's a big cocktail uh, we absorb every day.
Exactly. You know what? I found it really interesting to see how different environmental factors had different effects in regards to the body. And so the toxins that we typically breathe in are associated with a variety of disorders. And then the toxins that we can, like, what was that called? Agent Orange. There was a study done on some type of cleanser, and the actual toxins that we inhaled through that actually affected the body in another kind of way. And so it's crazy when you think about all of these things, and you put them together, and you know what I'm saying, in essence, and then you really see the battle that we're up against. Because I almost feel as if you're living in a modern world, it's hard to escape certain toxins. You don't control what they put into the air. You don't control the pollution in regards to different cars, emission, and things of that nature. There's just so much that's out of our control that we engage within on a day-to-day basis. And granted, not everything is bad. Like, understanding that coming in touch with certain bacteria is beneficial for our bacteria. So it's not always a negative thing, but you just see how much we're up against, and then it becomes evident why you have to care. It becomes evident why you have to start doing something for yourself, no matter how small it is. Just doing something for yourself, so that I don't know, that you just have some type of effort in there. You don't want to know that you're at war with this thing, and you're low key losing. There's so
Yeah.
much, like I said, out of our control, and we're not doing anything to help ourselves. So staying healthy in every way that you can, mentally, physically, spiritually, is super, super important. But let's get back to this. What are genes? Genes are like packets of information coding generally for a protein. So your genes are basically the things that help specify which cell will create which protein. And when I think about movies and how they like made so much of realistic things feel fairy tale ish, it kind of blows my mind because when you think about just what the body is actually doing, it almost feels futuristic. Like like it almost feels alienistic in a sense. But and we've went over this in the previous slideshow, so I won't dive like that into it here. But in essence, when your DNA is copied through mRNA, and that mRNA is sent into the cells, and the ribosomes actually help with unpacking that mRNA in the cytoplasm of that cell. And then you have different foods that you eat and the agents that they have within them when they are actually broken down. And these agents, these proteins, they actually lock onto, or the miRNA, the microRNA, actually lock onto different aspects of the RNA, the mRNA within the cell, basically telling it to express a certain thing or not to express a certain thing. And the beauty that I see in the body is almost like I feel like there's just so much harmony within everything around. Whenever you think about something happening externally, like how you feel as if you have you have power over the duality in a sense that's present in the universe. There are obstacles, there are things that are here to trip us, but you have the ability to step over those. You have the ability to step over these things that sometimes we pitfall into. So a lot of the world, and from how we understand it is from how we perceive it, how we manifest it. What kind of energy are we on in a sense, and that's how the world will appear to us. The body is one in the same ways. Again, 99% of our genes are the exact same. The only difference is how they express themselves. And the expression of that has everything to do with your choices, your lifestyle. This is why so many people say that cancers, your diabetes, high cholesterol, there's a big variety of these diseases and disorders that are honestly a result of the life that we live. And tackling your habits is key in regards to addressing any of these. But a gene is the basic physical unit of inheritance, and this is a bit more from an informative stance. Genes are passed from parents to offspring and contain the information needed to specify traits. Genes are arranged one after another on structures called chromosomes. A chromosome contains a single long DNA molecule, only a portion of which corresponds to a single gene. We have approximately 20,000 genes arranged on these chromosomes. That is a lot. Again, genes are made up of nucleotides. We talked about that in the previous one. Forming part of the chromosomes, the order of which the monomers in a polypeptide or nucleic acid molecule with a cell, which a cell may synthesize. So basically, that's saying that genes express themselves in the order in which the nucleotides are formed or sequenced. A changing in the sequence of these nucleotides actually changes what the gene is, how it's expressed, and so forth and so on. Gene expression is the process by which the information encoded in a gene is used to direct the assembly of a protein molecule. The cell reads the sequence of the gene in groups of 3 bases. Each group of the 3 bases corresponds to one of 20 different amino acids used to build a protein. That is practically just breaking down how this gene actually breaks down and creates the protein. So once the gene, not the gene, once the mRNA actually enters the cell, the ribosome reads that information, the codon, the reading, or the chemical information that gives those instructions within that mRNA, and it actually begins to create the synthesis of the protein, dependent on the actual, the mRNA within the actual molecule. So it's really just instructions and how that cell breaks down those instructions. Sequences of nucleotides, bases, and DNA encode the amino acid sequences of proteins. So practically just restating what I told you guys already, the actual sequence of these nucleotides. And again, we went over the bases, the 4 chemical bases of those nucleotides in the other one. but the formation of those nucleotides actually is what becomes the code. And that's all that's really being read. And this is just one of my little, that's from the same book that I showed you guys, showing where I get some of my information. Now, how does food tie into this? Other than the microRNA, other than that, how does food tie into this? How could we say that our lifestyle or our eating habits is actually affecting the way that my genes are expressing themselves? I was excited when I found this because this just went another level deeper for my understanding. But methyl groups, I learned about methyl groups and the methylation of methyl and histone within DNA. In essence, methyl groups, they act as like a switch, things that turn things on in regards to the actual reading of the mRNA. So your methyl groups, they go through a process again called methylation. And within that, they actually bind to different parts of the mRNA and they allow that gene to express itself. Histones can be seen as things that kind of turn things down a bit. So histones are the things that the DNA has wrapped itself around. The tighter the histone is around a gene, the harder time it'll have expressing itself. The looser a histone is around a gene, the easier time that it'll have expressing itself. So these histones and how they go throughout this process actually do affect a lot of how our just the mutations within our DNA, not DNA, but mRNA actually take place, and how this can actually lead to disease even long term. Methyl groups are the outside instructions made from carbon and hydrogen that instruct cells on which cells not to express. They control the genome by binding to a gene and instructing it not to express those certain genes. So you guys, hopefully you're writing something down, but check that out. Methyl groups. These methyl groups that actually get into these cells and instruct these cells what not to create. And again, I think this has importance because when we're talking about these bigger situations, like when we're talking about autoimmune disease, when we're talking about cancers that are super, super aggressive, or even the cancers that are really, really rare, we have to figure out what point can we go? What can we do? And this helps if we understand that these methyl groups are actually beneficial for us and we know what the body needs in order to create these, or how the body actually utilizes these within the body. And the same thing with histones. There's actually a lot of different studies in regards to cancer in histones and how there are different circulating mRNAs within the body that can be used to detect cancer within the body. It's really interesting stuff. Let me keep going. Histones are proteins that can change how tightly or loosely the DNA is wound around them. So imagine when I'm telling you guys, what was the example that I gave in the last one? It was rice. The rice. The mRNA in the rice actually survives digestion and is able to actually circulate within the blood. And when circulated within the blood, it binds to a protein, or it binds to an aspect of the mRNA that actually suppresses the protein production of the enzyme that protects the body and regulates the LDL, the good cholesterol. So when we're talking about creating chemical environments within the body to where these histones are creating proteins or are released within those proteins, they're being created and they are binding to aspects of your genes that are actually really needed. Some of the most basic things in regards to of these diseases are there are genes that are needed to function, that are needed to suppress tumors, that are needed to suppress and regulate different actions or different biochemical markers within the body, and they are being suppressed by different proteins that are being wrongfully expressed by mutated genes. If you knew that you could do anything about that, why wouldn't you?
Right.
It disappoints me to know that people are dying from diabetes type 2. Dying. These are conditions that we make ourselves. These are conditions that we can rid ourselves of by ourselves. But we are dying at alarming rates. It's not even, in regards to the cancers and things of that nature, I think cancer is a bit more understandable. Cancer can be tough to fight, especially depending on the state of that person's body. But diabetes, that hurts. Where am I at? Things such as a bad diet have the ability to cause mental groups to bind to the wrong receptors, making mistakes and bad instructions that cause cells to become abnormal, and that leads to disease. The digestion of some of the foods that we eat have the ability to introduce other biochemicals within the body that creates an environment to where it actually mutates the way that and it changes, it forever changes the way that our cells read and express our genes. You should want to do something better. If exercising, like, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No, no,
interrupt.
no, no. You're good. Go
But
ahead.
when you said that, okay, once it changes those cells, is this something that actually can be reversed with diet, or is it just that you still change your diet to be healthy, but it's not going to really reverse it? It'll just be that you won't continue to do yourself damage, or you'll.
Help me on. I don't think I
Okay, I'm
understood.
saying like can you, well, once you, okay, the way we normally, the average American, the way the average American eats, clearly we're ruining our bodies. But if you change your diet and put a halt to the damage, what is that? Would that cause a reversal in the, that'll cause a reversal? It's not just what am I trying to say? You're just damaged and you just have to deal
Absolutely
with live
not.
with it.
Yeah, no, the body is so amazing. It's crazy. When I think about, again, like going back to whatever we focus on externally, that can manifest, where our thoughts and our energy goes into manifests into our reality. I feel like internally, if we're all made out of the same genes, and the only difference between us is our this genetic expression for the bulk of us. Like, when anytime that I research some of these bigger things, they're rare. These are things that are not common, or seen a lot medically when we're talking about things that people really don't have any control over. There's typically always a phenomenon that different doctors and scientists are defining and revealing to us. So when it comes to understanding the body and how, if you give it the things that it needs, it will do what it needs to do. The first law of nature is self-preservation. We've been given a wonderful tool. This thing is not meant, it wasn't built to, you don't stop breathing, unless unless something is broken, not functioning properly. You do that on your own. This is It's not meant to just not work. We weren't built that way. And for those of us that may, because I've worked with babies that had mental retardation, and some of them very severely, and those to me are the cases to where I say, okay, I would know. I don't even think there's anything that we could do in order to reverse this. But when you're talking about disease,
Yeah.
the body just going through dis-ease,
Right.
you can take that challenge out of the equation and then allow the body to pick up and heal itself and work on itself, and then keep it going. When Sabi said there is no incurable disease, I'm not. I try to steer clear of the absolutes,
Mhm.
because ain't nothing ever perfect, but I know a lot that can be changed by just a change in your diet, a change in your lifestyle, starting with a change in your mind. Methylation. So the actual process in which the body uses in order to get these beneficial genes to express themselves. They depend on things like vitamin B12, B6, choline, and other vitamins and minerals. So, what does that tell us? If your DNA is having a hard time going throughout that methylation process, to where these methyl groups are actually binding to the appropriate spaces within that mRNA and expressing our genes in the appropriate way, you could just simply be mineral deficient.
Right.
A lot of depression, a lot of different disorders have been associated with us being mineral deficient. We don't have the things that our body needs within our body in order for it to do what it needs to do. It's really simple. Like, I don't think any of this is rocket science. This one is just going over mRNA or miRNA again. And that miRNA to me is just so awesome because it's like I said in one of the other Zooms, it's healing all around us. These plants, these vegetables, these fruits, they have miRNA that can actually circulate within our body and actually change the chemical markers within our body. And that actually could affect like our epigenetics. That could actually affect how our genes begin to express themselves long term if kept up with. And it's the same thing on the opposite end. If you are eating things, consuming things that when digested, they create a bad chemical environment for the bacteria within the body, for the body or the cells within the body itself, then we create the adverse effect. Some of the genes that I think are really, really interesting and I wanted you guys to look into BRCA1 and BRCA2. Those are both genes that have been found to impact the chances of someone getting breast cancer. These genes suppress tumor growth and help repair damaged DNA. Breast cancer is developed when these genes are not functioning properly and or are turned off. BRCA1 and BRCA2, again, are genes that a lot of us have. So it's not about having this gene, it's about whether our body is expressing this gene. And sometimes people come into this world with certain genes being expressed. Thus, it's something that needs to be tackled from a birth kind of aspect. But for a lot of us, these are genes that are not necessarily mutated or not functioning well to begin with, but through our life, we have done certain things, stress, smoking, eating the wrong things, all that kind of, all that good stuff. We've done things within our life that actually altered our mRNA. It altered the way that our genes actually express themselves. And this is where the disease comes from. TP53, HMGIC, and HMGIY associated with fibroids. A lot of women have these just fibroids, just different issues within the womb. If you understood that some things that you are doing, some things that you are eating are actually responsible for turning on some of these genes that are responsible for that tumor growth, wouldn't you do something different? And doesn't that help you understand how a holistic path can actually help you when it comes to ridding yourself of some of these disorders and these diseases?
Hmm.
HBB gene is associated with sickle cell. Guys, remember with sickle cell, the problem is the actual shape of the blood cell. The cell does not come with the hemoglobin needed in order to carry the oxygen within the cell. That is a problem. So then we start discussing, okay, well, how can we actually calm crisis? Do you guys know that there are actually some formulas out there that have worked before in helping with a sickle cell crisis?
Had no clue.
While there are some people that will sit there and say there's no cure to sickle cell, there's nothing that you can really do about it. They put you on all these different kind of medications. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, okay, cool. But there's some things, there's a formula, there's a herbal formula that you can create yourself that can actually help you with the crisis. Doesn't mean that it's going to actually eradicate the condition. No, not necessarily so. Have some people actually treated themselves, and you have a lot of testimonies out there they have, and they did that with a vegan diet. Not just a vegan diet, but a whole plant-based raw diet. NRG1, AP1221, DTMBP1. These are all genes associated with schizophrenia. I don't know why this blew my mind because, I should understand that there's genes associated with everything, but I didn't think about schizophrenia. I didn't think about mental disorders to that extent. APOE 2, 3, and 4, PSENY on chromosome 14, and PNS 2 on chromosome 1. And I'm listing these so you guys, if you want to really look into it, validate whatever for yourself, you know it. But those are all genes associated with Alzheimer's. MHC classes 2 and 3 for lupus. One of the interesting things about Alzheimer's is that it gives me the opportunity to kind of link things. And so with there's some diseases that I understand what's going on chemically, but I can't validate anything on the nutritional side, and so I'm at a standstill. But there's information that validates the dietary needs in order to create a condition like Alzheimer's. There's information in clinical studies on different biochemical markers within the body that's needed in order for Alzheimer's to, that for that disorder to be created. So it's one of those things that kind of give me the ability to line my ducks in a row. And what I'm able to do when I do that, or when that happens for me, is that I can link the processes. Figuring out how the body works is like figuring out how to work a car times 55. It's just it's just processes on top of processes, and systems integrating with other systems, and that lead to all X, Y, and Z in regards to disorders and problems. And it can be very, I don't know what the word is, but like it's just a layer, just layers of stuff. It helps me connect those layers so that I can make sense and have a cohesive or a conclusive opinion or thought about a particular thing. But that's what I wanted to show you guys today in regards to the different diseases that foods can actually create. If y'all want to talk about them, if y'all have any questions on a particular one, uh, let's talk about it. If not,
I have a question, Ashley. You mentioned disease. Is an autoimmune? Oh yeah, it's all right. Bye bye. I've answered my own question. Goodbye.
oh, let me see. Oh, I'm trying to stop the share. Oh, right here. Duh. But yes, death in a bowl, facts. I'm just now seeing y'all comments. Importance of hydration. Yes, 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 yes. Everything stated here, honestly, is super, super important. Super, super important to your health. And I hope that we did as best as we could to tie that in on a cellular level. Sometimes people take the summary of stuff and they push it off in such a folk kind of way. My brother told me today that he saw something where Malcolm X said that you are what you eat, in a sense to where you pick up the habits of the animals that you eat. And I could see, I could definitely see where he was going with that. And I can acknowledge where there's truth in his statement. But hearing it like that, especially when it's exaggerated to a sense to where there is nothing tying us to the truths within this statement, it makes it easier to be pushed away. And so hopefully the information, and I can send you guys these PowerPoints, or maybe we can put them up online, or I don't know, but so that you guys actually have it so that you can see how this information really does tie to you and your health at your most core, like basic level. Ebony, we're not feeling good. Are you weak? I mean, how's your fruit intake? We'll wait for her to answer. Yeah, you gotta make sure. And again, y'all, this water fast is coming up super super soon. Like, was it tomorrow?
Yep. So whatever the last time they ate today, whatever that last meal is when like their water fast has already started.
And if you didn't, that's why I tried to tell you guys to kind of really stock up and eat more on these last few days, because what happens is, and you may be able to handle it and that's cool, but if somebody else were to do that and they've never fasted before, you've now been hungry for like 2 days, and then you're about to go on a 3 day fast, and it's harder.
Ooh.
Always listen to yourself though. If there's something that you need, if there's something that you need, if you need to eat or anything like that, listen to yourself first and take care of you. I hope you feel better.
I have a question. So we start the water fast and it's going to be for 3 days. Is that
Mhm.
correct? All right. So are we still going to be doing the CMOS or we stopped doing the CMOS now?
You stop doing the sea moss. So during the water part, it's nothing but water. No herbs, no
Look
fruit,
at Pamela.
just water.
Okay.
We got this. We got this. It's 3 days. We can do this.
Yes, we can. Whoop, whoop.
My coach used to say whenever we did laps, we probably did 20. She's like, you can do one more. What's one more? One more minute of your life. You can do one more. I hate that saying, but it's true. A lot easier. Yeah, I guess depending on some and where you are, because some of us, we're emotionally tied to food, and being full or being hungry is a great factor in our happiness at that moment. I done seen some attitudes. How's everyone in regards to the mental aspect of the challenge? Is everyone meditating? Is everyone making goals? Getting in the process of implementing something new that'll change their life for the better?
Yeah, for me, my mindset has definitely changed. I feel very, very hyper. Um, I'm one of those people. I'm sorry I missed the chat yesterday because I'm a person. I work out 6 days a week, and sometimes twice for the day. I'm ridiculous, and I haven't slowed down on this challenge. So the next 3 days is going to be quite interesting. Yeah. So yeah, but I found that I've picked up my business again, and I've been doing the meditating, and all of a sudden I'm getting clients just coming. It's like, okay, all right. So yeah, I'm hyped. I'm hyped.
Hey, yes. Yes, that's that kind of energy we need. I absolutely love it. There is nothing more powerful than understanding that, you can control at least an aspect of your reality. We don't have to go to the extreme and say everything, but, there's something that you can do about the life that you live. And if there's anything causing you stress, and a lot of stuff that's causing us stress is money. We are always plex worried about money. We need it in order to actually function within this world. So it definitely becomes a priority for a lot of us, even when we don't want it to. And that alone causes different kinds of stress. I remember whenever I was like 19 or so, and I was in debt. Like, I don't know what I thought. Like, going to school, milks on me. Like, I don't know what I had in mind, but I was just out of control, playing mommy and all of that, taking my siblings everywhere and out to eat, just horrible money management skills. And I was like, yo, if I don't do something about this debt, it's gonna run me. It's gonna control. It's gonna have the ability to impact the rest of my life, and I didn't want that. And so I'm like, okay, I have to, I have to figure out how to pay this off. I have to make sure, I can handle this. And so I write everything down, and I write every debt that I had down. And it amounted, I forgot what it amounted to. I think it came out to like 10K or something like that. And I write down all of my sources of income and how much money I actually bring in throughout a month. And I saw that gap, and I was like, oh my God, like this is the difference that I need to make in order to be the person that I want to be. This right here is me paying every single one of these bills on time. This is what I need in order to do what I want to do. I was like, wow, what can I do? I don't have a degree at this point. I'm 19, 20. I don't have a degree yet. So I'm not I would not apply it anyway, but I got rejected every single time. There's no big firm that's going to hire me for a big position that's going to give me this big pay grade that's going to help me take care of this debt that I created for myself. Nothing. And so what do? I came up with so many different businesses. It's crazy. And they actually helped me reverse my way out of debt. And so sometimes learning how to value self enough to know what you want to do, who you want to be, and where you want to go, and what that actually consists of. Knowing how to discipline self in order to help yourself get there is just a part of that success. And I definitely do feel as if the awareness of money is money. Like I had a completely different perspective on cash and just currency and the way it flowed back then that I do now. And I think that my understanding of it now helps me stay out of things of that nature. I've been sure never to take myself through that process again. Did you want to talk about YouTube Earl Nightingale? No? Okay. Well,
Oh
Latrell.
no, I was just yeah, he just it's a real good if you just trying to like if you are looking for meditation in the morning time, mind stimulation, you want to get your day going. If you are working on any type of businesses, or if you just wanna basically he has this thing where he call um the strangest secret in the world. And basically it's just the mind, the power of the mind. And it's real powerful, man. I mean, it's real powerful. I listen to it every day. It's good to listen to. It's good to train your brain, train yourself to think differently. And I mean, it's helped me. It probably can help somebody else. So I just want to just throw that out there. If anybody was trying to look for any type of they didn't know how to find meditation music or anything, or just need to find something, check out Mr. Earl. Listen to him. He gonna help you out.
That's dope. Thank you for that. I've never heard of Mr. Earl, so I'm excited to go and see what Mr. Earl got because I love all different kinds of meditational things. That's dope. That's dope. That's dope. You know what I was thinking about doing before I go ahead and let you guys go? I was thinking about doing a whole nother kind of cleanse, not the ones that we just got off of because I'm done with them, but just different emotional cleanses. Like I think a lot of us have things in regards to our personality or our character that we wish to change or that we know needs to change for the betterment of our life. And I wanted to cleanse myself of that. If we go into programming the mind and saying, hey, for the next 7 days, I'm going to do my best in order to not to respond this way, not to think this way, not do this, not say that. How beneficial could that actually be, just to the subconscious
Hmm.
inside our being? And so I think that's something that I want to do. I think, I don't know. I don't know what I would want to do it with, though. I don't know.
Another thing that I do when I listen to Mr. Earl, or at night when I get ready to go to sleep, I listen to Jason Stevenson. Now Jason Stevenson, that's more of the meditation. It's more just like listening to ocean sounds or rain sounds or affirmations. He might just be talking to you, you know, kind of just saying like self-empowering phrases or things like that. I listen to it and just fall asleep to it.
That's
Fall asleep to it, let it get in that subconscious while you know what I mean? That's another good way to train, like you were just saying, train your brain, train your mind. That's another good way to get some good positive stuff, you know, absorbing into
long.
yourself, you know what I mean? So yeah, listen to it, fall asleep to it. You know what I mean? Don't fall asleep to love hip hop, fall asleep to, you know, some good stuff. So yeah, I just want to say that.
Dope. Thank you. Thank you. I absolutely love that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to choose. I want something. I'm gonna tackle my procrastination. Oh,
Ooh,
ugh. For the next 7 days, I do not hesitate to do what I know I need to do. When I know that I need to do something, I do it in the time given.
You know what? That's a good one. You know what? I need to do that one with you. That's a great one. That's a
Oh
great one.
man, we talk. I don't know why you can tell it's a really good thing for me though because like my whole body is just responding to the thought of having to deal with my procrastination, yo. Like, oh man, I think that's gonna be interesting. I'll keep you guys updated on how that is for me. But that's my mantra. I do what I need to do when I need to do it. Period.
that's great.
And it's crazy because I kind of always been, I guess you could say procrastinator. You could say that. I kind of always been like that, but it's like right down to when it's time for it got to be done. And when it got to be done, I seem like I work. It's smooth smell. It's
You
smooth
know what?
sailing. It's
Oh,
smooth sailing. I can get it done. You know what I mean?
that
But
is
I don't
so
know why it's like
crazy.
that.
I feel like I know why it's like that for myself. I can't say everybody else, but literally, sometimes I need to feel like my back is against the ropes and I need to react right now in order to even engage wholly and focus wholly. Like there are some times where I notice in myself to where if I don't feel like I'm under pressure, I'm not even able to really focus
Right.
on the thing in the right way. And so it's like, man, what's going on here? And then I also noticed some different intimidation within myself and some things that are really deeply rooted within me. I think, I came from a really rough, not a really rough childhood, but I had really rough experiences. And I understood poverty at a very young age. I've been homeless like once as a child, once as an adult myself. And so there's this fear
Mhm.
that's almost embedded in me of a lack and a failure of progression. And sometimes when it comes to things that I'm not good at doing or things that I can't do even to my liking, it creates intimidation because I'm not feeling good enough in order to even
Mhm.
get it done. And
Mhm.
then that alone, it creates like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like it causes me to procrastinate because
Right.
not only can I do it the way that I want to do it, but I understand that if I do it and it doesn't come out that way, I'm gonna feel as if I didn't succeed. I'm gonna feel as if I failed, or some of it has to do with laziness. There's just so many different aspects of the character that tackling procrastination
Yes.
actually, touches on. But let me find out we all some procrastinators.
Man, I'm talking about
Listen,
look.
listen, get out of my book.
I came up with a strategy because yeah, I can be the queen of procrastination, but I thought of two ways I could tackle that. And I think one is I could either, okay, if I find myself okay, Pam, you know you got to do this. And if I fail to give myself a deadline as to when I'll start. So if I fail to jump on that deadline, I may have to force myself to, okay, give me 10 push-ups. Make myself either do something like that, or I think even better than that. I think I came up with this like a couple of weeks ago. I will literally step out of myself. I actually will be like two personalities, me as I am right now, and then the Pam that has completed all her goals and is already on point. So she's going to stand there and look at me and talk to me and like, what are you doing? You know, literally, I talk to myself as the Pam who's got herself together to the one who's being lazy and make her do what she needs to do. So I don't know. It's like a mental game. I probably play on that.
It is a mental game, and creating mental games, from what I'm reading, is one of the best ways in order to help yourself. You know, some of us we can't afford the professional help,
Yeah.
the way that we would want to. I would love a life coach. I would,
Oh
we would
man.
love these people that would help us get some of the things that we're struggling with in order. But if we can't afford to, playing those mental games with yourself is very beneficial. I created a point system for myself. At one point, we lived in San Antonio, and Miss Chickpea was this name of this vegan pastry, and her cupcakes was bomb. So, the different things, I prioritized the different objectives and goals that I had for the day and for the week, and I gave them all points. So making my bed and things like that came on a lower scale versus completing my homework and doing the things associated with my business came with bigger points. And if I got enough of these points throughout my week, I was able to reward myself with the cupcake that I like. And that's a lot of our problem. A lot of us like the gratification before we actually want to put in the work. It's totally a character thing, and I can genuinely say that for myself. There's a
Mhm.
part of me that says, "Why can't I just eat the cupcake now and and work?" But there's so much power in restraining and refraining and teaching yourself, and to do that, to put work before the actual reward and things of that nature first. But yeah, procrastination, that's what I'm gonna be on. Pray for me.
Pray for all of us. That's a good idea. I'll focus on that.
That's awesome. Could y'all imagine? Yo, last question. Imagine, what was that movie? It was a movie with James Carey, and he was no, Liar Liar.
Oh,
Imagine a world where you went throughout it and you couldn't do the one toxic thing you do most. Man, that's a
yeah.
challenge for real, for real. We got any liars on here? No, no. Any victimizers on here?
I told a couple of lies in my lifetime.
Some of us love to play victim.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say anybody. What else can I name? Jealousy, envy, any of this. Y'all mean to tell me y'all don't look at somebody and be like, "Ooh,
Procrastination is my biggest problem.
okay."
That is it. That's the one that stands out the most. I'm sure if I sat down and thought about it for a minute, I'd come up with a few more. Nobody's perfect, but yeah, procrastination, man. That one has I have ruined myself with procrastination.
Man.
So yeah, that's the biggest elephant, and that's the pink elephant in my room.
Oh wow. That's powerful, Ebony. You just shook off manipulation. I can dig that, sis. Congratulations.
I think for me, it's criticizing, being very critical, and especially during this fast, I've caught myself a lot being very critical. Um, yeah, so that's definitely come to mind. And I would say, in some aspects, I have to say jealousy. Um, and I think that's because I've seen some people do what I know I should be doing, and it's like, man. So yeah,
Wow.
those two come to mind.
That's powerful. So you really just answered it for yourself. The jealousy that you experience is not like just this innate thing that you have going on about you. You're not a jealous or envious person, but you seeing things that remind you of where you should be creates that feeling for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Because there's things that I've written down that I said that I was going to do this year. And it's like people have just excelled. And it's like, and you see, that then goes back to procrastination. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. So, the fact that I'm doing, this has come at a perfect time, this reset, because for me, it wasn't so much about the body. I don't need to lose weight. Um, yeah, I have alopecia, the hair's gone, and I've accepted that, but it's great to know that there is a possibility of having it reversed. But in saying all of that, this for me was it's a mind journey. It's a reset of the mind for me. So I've got a lot of catching up to do to catch up to where I should be. This point.
Wow. You know what? But I want to, and just make it really brief. I want to correct you because where you should be is where you are. I think what I love with the actual when I look at genes and I see that again, we majorly all have the same ones, and it's just a matter of how our choices and how our body expresses them. We have power over that. So it's the same thing here. You have power over where you are. You have power of where you want to be. But don't ever think that you are where you shouldn't in essence, because there's wisdom and there's so much experience and lessons taught within every space that we occupy within our life. And I'm talking even mentally, that even creates the space for procrastination and things of that nature. Don't, when it comes to the things that you want to do, you can always do. There's nothing stopping you. There's infinite possibilities in regards to where your life could go from this very moment. And so I think that it's important for us to continue to get to where we're trying to go. We have to take a real assessment of where we are. And what happens when we do that is we only assess the bad in where we are. We don't assess the good in where we are and how that good is actually responsible. And even that bad is responsible for getting us to those next steps in our life. So I love the fact that, we go through these things that challenge our character and really does show us some of the places that we could enhance. If you never experienced the procrastination, you would never know that it was an issue to be fixed, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's the experience of it, that's just as beneficial as learning to shed it. Even with jealousy, I have like literally experienced some jealousy within myself. And I know it to be that, and it's not an external thing. No one really has what I want. But sometimes when people pick up and they act as that mirror for you, and what's reflecting is something that you don't want to see, you don't want to be reminded of, it creates that anxiety. It
Yeah.
creates
Yeah.
That's dope though. That's powerful. That's powerful. I get you. Simone, is there anything you wanted to say before we let him go?
I didn't want to be rude. I have a softball game and there's loud music, so I wanted to move my notes over to your ears. I will touch upon all the stuff y'all talked about today or had questions about tomorrow. I'll just loop that all in there for tomorrow when I talk more about everything that's going on. But remember that to give yourself grace, like go back to that point where I told you guys before, when it really does come to the fact that we aren't the nicest person to ourselves. Like, yes, we all have goals and opportunities and places we want to be, but it's a marathon. It's not a race. It's one step at a time. And the only person that you're ever really going against is yourself. Everybody else doesn't matter. It's really about you, being the best you. That's who you're always aware of. No one else.
Awesome. Awesome. I cannot wait to hear her talk more about everything tomorrow. Um, and guys, I can't wait to talk to you guys tomorrow. I guess if anything from this emotional aspect today, the mental aspect today, what can we say to summarize it up?
Hmm.
My mind went blank. Completely blank. I'm so tired. But I guess we can say, we have control over ourselves. And just as a reminder of that, this procrastination that seems to hinder a lot of us, I think we got to accept that at some point, to some degree, it's a choice that we keep choosing, and we have to get out of the cycle of choosing. And as much as giving ourselves grace and love is needed, holding ourselves accountable is needed too, and understanding that we are never perfect. Okay, so it is okay that we are making these mistakes. It's okay that our character isn't. Careful that you don't label waiting on divine timing as procrastination. What you mean, Ebony?
There's divine timing. There's a time for everything. And sometimes, because I found me personally, I think I'm procrastinating and I'm not. It's the fact of that's just my high self telling me to hold on for a second. It's not lined up for me.
Mm.
So
So
before
some
you just race toward, I got to get this done because I thought of it today. Sometimes we show up to our destination prior to us actually needing to, or the arrival time being set for us. So careful when you just go hammer time through your life trying to just knock everything out today just because you think of it.
So I guess that goes back into the whole what was that? You are never in the wrong place. So where we think that we are not where we're supposed to be. We are exactly where we need to be. Is that one of the same, Ebony?
I would say that's exactly it.
Okay, okay, okay. Awesome,
Sometimes
awesome.
we're not ready. Sometimes you need another minute. Sometimes you need another day. Sometimes it's outside things that need to be built, people that need to walk by. It's all every like you got to realize the universe is orchestrating on your behalf. That takes a little second sometimes to fall into place, I guess is a good way to put it.
That's a beautiful way to put it. I absolutely love that because when I think about that myself as well, like when you think about wanting $1 million, a lot of us wouldn't know what to do with $1 million if we got $1 million today. And I've always had this kind of feeling that life happens for me, not necessarily to me. And so these things that are happening, they're happening for, what I'm saying, for a reason. And they put me in a point in space and time for a reason. So I don't have the $1 million that I want because life is happening for me. And chances are, if I got it today, I probably would blow it over by tomorrow. So that, it's a beautiful way of just keeping, I guess, remembering the balance in all things. That's a great point, Ebony. Anybody else? Nope. Going once, twice, three times. Boom. All right. 9:12. I'm getting there. What? You didn't even say nothing this time.
Good job, my love. Good job. Good
All
job.
right. Thank you. Okay, so we will see you guys tomorrow. Y'all have a great night.
All right.
Good,
Water.
good
Bye
night. Good
later.
night, everyone.
Good
Come on,
night.
Sunday.
Good night.
Let's see. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut